Y'all know I love making candy. I am so excited to share these with you. These are fun to make for yourself. They're great to make to give as gifts for the holidays, and they're absolutely delicious. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 holiday candy recipes that you are gonna love. Okay y'all, let's get started. These Samoa Truffles are insanely delicious. And here's how to make them. We're going to use some coconut in this recipe, 7 ounces to be exact, but first we're going to toast it up in the oven. I just spread mine out on a cookie sheet and baked it at 350. Do make sure you stir it, toss it around every couple minutes, but you're going to let it bake until it's golden brown. You're also going to need an 11-ounce box of vanilla wafers. I put mine in the food processor to blend them into fine crumbs, but you could put them in a Ziploc bag and beat them with a rolling pin. Now over to a large bowl, I'm adding 1 can of dulce de leche. And we're also going to add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. By the way, you can find both of those in the same area at the grocery store. Then after you get all that in there, we're going to add in that box of crushed vanilla wafers, along with the 7 ounces of toasted coconut. I guess you can already tell this is going to be delicious. And you can most definitely mix this together by hand, but I'm taking the easy way out and I'm using my electric mixer. It makes the job a little easier. By the way, what is your favorite candy to make for Christmas? Okay, after you get that all mixed together, I made sure to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and you see how thick this mixture is right here. Now you're going to need a cookie sheet, and you can line it with parchment paper or a silicone liner like I have. And you're just going to scoop about tablespoon size portions. I think my cookie scoop here was actually a 1.5 tablespoon. But just scoop them and plop them directly onto the cookie sheet. You don't have to roll these into smooth balls or anything. You'll see why in a minute here. Now I'm placing these into the freezer for about 30 minutes to really chill. I melted down some chocolate almond bark, but you can use any kind of dipping chocolate you like. And I do like to melt my chocolate in a double boiler. Now you're going to take one of these little Samoa Truffles here, and you're going to dip the flat side, the bottom, down into the chocolate. Just dip the bottom, and I kind of shake it left to right to kind of sling some of that excess chocolate off. And then you're going to place it right back onto the cookie sheet. And yes, this one here was frozen solid to the pan. Oh, and if you're not a fan of dipping candies like cake balls and stuff, because I know that can sometimes seem very intimidating. Trust me, I struggle with it sometimes too. But these are so easy to dip. Now we are going to add a little more chocolate to the top, but don't worry, that's easy too. Now depending on how thin your chocolate is, you could use your spoon and kind of drizzle it over the top of these candies. But mine didn't drizzle very well, so I got the bright idea to put it in a piping bag and pipe it on, which looked beautiful. But yes, I burnt my hands, so I had to end up wrapping the piping bag with a towel. You just need a few little squiggles on the top of each one and you're good to go. And I let mine sit out on the counter until they were completely set. And I'm telling you, these Samoa Truffles were out of this world good. Everyone that had these said, "What in the world is this? These are delicious." And y'all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients. That was all there was to make these truffles. That toasted coconut with the vanilla wafers and the dulce de leche. Oh, and do not skip out on that chocolate. And I'm sure if you made these and shared with your friends and family, they are going to love you for it. This white chocolate caramel pecan fudge is so good. To begin, you're going to need a 24-ounce bag of the Nestle's Premier white chocolate chips. Now this is something you do not want to use the generic chocolate chips for. I've learned that the Great Value white chocolate chips are made of something completely different, so you want to make sure you use the name brand for this. I'm also adding a can of sweetened condensed milk and 4 tablespoons of butter. Now you're going to microwave that for about 1.5 minutes total. Make sure you stir it every 30 seconds until it's completely melted. Now in a separate bowl, I have 25 of the Kraft Caramels unwrapped. I'm adding about 1.5 tablespoons of heavy cream, but next time I'm only going to do 1 tablespoon. And the same with this, microwave it in 30-second intervals until it's completely melted. And here's the white chocolate. It is nice and smooth. And I find it easier to stir fudge like this with a spatula. Or I guess not to stir it, but kind of fold it around. Okay, and here's those caramels. They are completely melted. Give it one last really good stir. And you're going to add all but about 3 tablespoons of this caramel sauce. Add all of it to this white chocolate mixture. But just make sure you reserve 3 tablespoons because we're going to drizzle that over the top at the end. Okay, after you get that caramel in there, you're going to add in 1 cup of chopped toasted pecans. Now I toasted mine to give them a little extra flavor, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Now you're going to fold this together until it's almost combined. It is completely okay if you see a few streaks of caramel. I've got a 9 by 9 inch pan here. I did line mine with foil. And I sprayed it with some nonstick spray just to make sure this fudge doesn't stick. And you're going to add that mixture right on into the pan here and kind of smooth it out. Now you're going to take that 3 tablespoons of reserved caramel sauce and dollop it over the top. And this part does not have to be perfect because we're about to swirl it all around in here. Just make sure you don't get a big glob of caramel just in one certain spot here because it won't set up as well. Okay, and now you're going to take whatever you have. You can use a butter knife, or if you want to use like a toothpick or a wooden skewer or something like that. You're just going to swirl that caramel into that white chocolate. And I did make sure to swirl mine pretty good because I'm telling you it sets up a whole lot better if that caramel gets pretty well mixed in there. Then I popped this in the refrigerator to completely chill. You could even add a few more chopped pecans to the top if you'd like. And then when it's completely set up, you can cut it into 1-inch squares and it is ready to serve. This fudge was absolutely delicious. And of course I had to share it with everybody and they all loved it too. And in case you're wondering, I did store mine in the refrigerator. This really did turn out so pretty, and I love caramel and pecans. They go perfect together, so I really hope you give this one a try. I think you're going to love it too. These cranberry pecan clusters are a new favorite. To get started, in a large bowl, I added 16 ounces of white chocolate chips. This was a large bag, and that wasn't quite the whole bag. And I'm sure if you wanted to use that whole bag, you could go ahead and add in that whole 24 ounces. And by the way, if you'd rather, you could always use the white chocolate almond bark for these. It does melt up a whole lot easier. I microwaved this in 30-second intervals until it was completely melted. Now I'm adding in 1.5 cups of chopped pecans, and I didn't toast mine. I'm also adding 1 cup of dried cranberries. Now you want to work quickly here. Give it a good fast stir because that white chocolate does set up quick. So stir it until just combined and then keep on moving. And make sure you have something ready to place these on. You can use a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, or I'm using a silicone liner. And I'm using a cookie scoop. This is a 1.5 tablespoon size cookie scoop. That way all of them are about the same size. And you can also use a spoon for this. but I'm scooping little portions until I've used up all of that white chocolate pecan cranberry mixture. And this recipe made about 40 little candies here. And I just let them sit out on the counter until they were completely set. These were super easy to make, so they'll be perfect if you need to make something last minute. And like I said, if you want to toast your pecans, you can. That will add a little more flavor. And feel free to change out the pecans and use your favorite combination of nuts. These were a big hit. These caramel pretzels did take me a couple times to figure them out and get them right, but I got them and they were perfect. On a cookie sheet, I laid down about 40 mini pretzels, and you do want to make sure you use the mini ones for this. I'm also using 20 of the Kraft Caramels. Make sure you use the little ones that are individually wrapped. And then you're going to unwrap those, and that's the hardest part of this recipe, I'm telling you. You unwrap them and then cut each one in half. Then you're going to place half of a caramel on each of those pretzels. Now this is going into a preheated 350-degree oven for only 3 minutes. The recipe I followed said 3 to 6 minutes, and the first time I let them cook until they were kind of melted down into those pretzels, and it made that caramel very hard to chew. So you're only going to cook them for 2 to 3 minutes until they're soft enough to do what I'm doing now. I took a piece of wax paper and laid it on top and kind of pressed it down into that pretzel. Now it don't look as pretty as it did when I let that caramel completely melt into the pretzel, but this way it was much easier to eat, very soft. So just keep a check on them at 2 minutes. Do not go more than 3. And then take them out of the oven and pretty much immediately put that wax paper on top and kind of smooth out that top. Or flatten it, I should say. I have some melted chocolate almond bark here. You may use up about 8 ounces of chocolate, just depending on how much of the pretzel you dip. But I dipped mine about 3/4 of the way, then I slung it side to side to get rid of that excess chocolate. You do want to see a little bit of that caramel peeking out from the side. You're going to place it on that cookie sheet and then continue until you've coated all of those caramel pretzels in chocolate. These would also be really good dipped in white chocolate too. And yes, you do some funny things when you dip things in chocolate. I was trying to get that chocolate to run down to cover more of that pretzel. And that chocolate, that almond bark, sets up very, very fast. So every couple pretzels, I went ahead and sprinkled them with that gold sanding sugar. Or you can cover them with any sprinkles you like. These were so good, and they looked fancy, super cute to give as gifts for Christmas. And that caramel was still soft paired with that chocolate, and the salty from the pretzel was amazing. And just look how cute these are. And these would be super easy to package in a little bag too. Definitely a new favorite of ours. When I seen Buttercream Truffles, y'all, you know I had to try them. In the bowl of my stand mixer, I added 1 stick of butter. The recipe said to use unsalted butter, but mine was salted and they worked out just fine. I mixed it until it was smooth and creamy. Next, you're going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I ran out and had to break out another bottle. Good thing I had a backup. And we're also going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. And I accidentally poured a little too much, so I poured some back into the bottle there. You do not want to get too much almond extract because it is very strong. I'm also adding in 4 cups of powdered sugar, but you're going to add that a little at a time. Add some and then give it a mix, and then add some more until you've added in all that powdered sugar. And the recipe said to add 3 tablespoons of whole milk. I used 2%, and I probably should have measured that because I just eyeballed it. and I'm pretty sure I added too much because my mixture did end up being very sticky. So I'd say add a tablespoon of milk at a time until it's a good consistency. Because keep in mind, you do want these firm enough to roll into balls. Now we're going to chill this, and you can chill it anywhere from 1 hour to overnight. I ended up chilling mine overnight. So I transferred it all to an airtight container to put in the refrigerator until I was ready to use it. And of course I had to go ahead and give it a taste here, and it was amazing. You just want to make sure you cover this tightly. And mine's going into the refrigerator to chill overnight. When I was ready to roll these, I grabbed a cookie sheet and lined it with wax paper, and then I used a tablespoon sized cookie scoop to scoop these into little balls. And then you're going to roll them between your palms until they're smooth. And the more I rolled these, the stickier they got. Now I've got them all rolled up. Now you're going to put them back into the refrigerator to chill for 1 hour or overnight. Then, when you're ready to dip them, you're going to melt up some of your favorite dipping chocolate. Then I grabbed them out of the refrigerator. I gave them one last good roll, and you see they were very, very sticky still. But I'm sure that's because I added too much milk. And you're just going to dip these in the chocolate, or just drop them in the chocolate, kind of roll them around, and then get whatever works best for you. I'm trying out these little new dipping chocolate tools I got. But I'm telling you, these don't have to be perfect, and I've made a lot of candy, and I still struggle when I'm dipping stuff like this. I have heard several of you mention using a fork and like take the two middle teeth out. I guess you call them teeth. Take the two out in the middle. So I'm going to try that. I have to find me a fork that I can, mess up. And I just had to include this here because some people make doing this so easy. Like dip the chocolate and place it on the parchment paper or wax paper or whatever, and they look perfectly coated little candies. And I struggle. But you know what? These are fun to make. I love making candies, especially in the holidays. But these are fun to make, and they don't have to be perfect. As long as they're delicious, that's all that matters. And to hide some of my imperfections, because I had a lot of them, I'm telling you. I had some Wilton. It was kind of like a shimmery dusting powder. I had some of that in my pantry, and I grabbed that and just sprinkled it right over the top. And it gave it a little shimmer. Now, if you do it quickly, you can add on some sprinkles. But I had already let my chocolate set, and then, so that's the reason that I used the little shimmery dusting powder. These were so good though, really delicious. And especially if you're a lover of icing, you are gonna love these. And it only takes one. They're very sweet and very rich. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.